What if I told you there's a single exercise that makes you stronger, leaner, more athletic? It protects your knees, improves your hormones, and literally slows down the aging of your muscles all at once. It's not a new machine. It's not a trending workout. It's the squat. And most people are either skipping it entirely or have no idea what it's actually doing to their body. Today, that changes. Here's the first thing you need to understand. The squat is not a leg exercise. Yes, your legs are doing the work. But what's happening inside your body when you squat heavy and regularly is a full system physiological event. Your nervous system, your endocrine system, your skeletal system, your cardiovascular system, they all respond simultaneously. No other movement does this. Not the bench press. Not the bicep curl. Not even the deadlift to the same degree. The squat is the most systemically demanding exercise the human body can perform. And that demand is exactly what makes it so extraordinarily effective. Let's break down what actually happens to your physiology when you squat consistently. When you load a heavy squat, your body perceives it as a major systemic stress. And it responds the way it's evolved to respond to stress. By flooding your bloodstream with anabolic hormones, testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor. A landmark study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology showed that heavy compound lower body exercises, squats in particular, produce significantly higher acute testosterone and growth hormone spikes compared to upper body exercises or isolation movements. We're talking about a hormonal environment that your body simply cannot replicate with smaller exercises. Here's what makes this remarkable. These hormones don't just build leg muscle. They circulate systemically. They accelerate muscle protein synthesis throughout your entire body. They improve fat metabolism. They enhance mood and cognitive function. In other words, squatting doesn't just build your legs. It makes your entire body more anabolic. This is why serious strength athletes who squat consistently tend to develop muscle more evenly and rapidly everywhere, including their upper body, even while holding other variables constant. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Squatting makes your skeleton stronger. Bone is not static. It's a living tissue that remodels itself in response to mechanical load. When you squat under load, the compressive and tensile forces passing through your femur, tibia, hip joint, and spine activate bone-building cells called osteoblasts. Over time, regular squatting measurably increases bone mineral density, particularly in the hip and lumbar spine, which are the two most common sites of osteoporosis-related fractures. A study in the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research found that resistance training involving lower limb loading, including squats, was one of the most effective interventions for improving bone density in both young and older adults. But it doesn't stop at bone. Your tendons and ligaments thicken and strengthen too. Your cartilage becomes better at distributing load. The structures around your knee actually become more protective over time, the opposite of what most people fear. The squat, done consistently, doesn't wear your knees down. It makes them more resilient. Your quads, hamstrings, and glutes are the three largest muscle groups in your body. When you build them through consistent squatting, something powerful happens to your metabolism. Muscle is metabolically expensive tissue. Every pound of muscle you add burns approximately 6 to 10 additional calories per day at rest and during activity. Building your lower body through squats effectively upgrades your metabolic engine permanently. But there's more. Squats activate a massive amount of muscle mass simultaneously, which means the acute caloric burn of a squat session is dramatically higher than most other exercises. Your body's demand for glucose surges. Your muscles absorb blood sugar aggressively for hours after training, a phenomenon called the GLUT4 mediated glucose uptake window, which dramatically improves insulin sensitivity. Regular squatting, in other words, makes your body far better at processing carbohydrates, regulating blood sugar, and burning fat as fuel. That's a metabolic profile that reduces your risk of type 2 diabetes, improves body composition, and gives you more consistent energy throughout the day. Squatting doesn't just change your muscles, it rewires your nervous system. Every time you squat under load, your brain is solving a complex motor problem, coordinating dozens of muscle groups, managing balance and proprioception, producing force while maintaining structural integrity. Over time, your nervous system becomes dramatically more efficient at recruiting muscle fibers, particularly fast-twitch type 2 fibers, which are responsible for power, speed, and strength. This translates directly into every physical domain of life. Squatters jump higher. They sprint faster. They change direction more explosively. They can generate force more quickly from a standing position, which is the foundational athletic skill that underlies almost every sport and physical activity. But it also matters for daily life. Getting off a chair, climbing stairs, catching yourself before a fall. These are all squat pattern movements. Consistently squatting means your body stays functional as you age because you're continually training the movement your body was literally designed to do. Now here's the one that stops people cold. A groundbreaking study from King's College London found that leg strength, specifically the kind developed through loaded lower body training, was one of the strongest predictors of cognitive function and brain aging over a 10-year follow-up. Stronger legs correlated with larger brain volume, better memory, and less age-related cognitive decline. Why? Because heavy lower body exercise is one of the most potent stimulators of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often called miracle grow for the brain. BDNF promotes the growth of new neurons, protects existing ones, and is directly linked to learning, memory, and resistance to depression. At a muscular level, squatting preserves the fast-twitch muscle fibers that are the first to atrophy with age. Most people lose 30 to 40% of their muscle mass by their 70s, a process called sarcopenia. Consistent squatting is one of the most powerful interventions known to science to slow it down. You're not just building muscle, you're buying time. So how often should you squat to actually get these benefits? Research points to a clear sweet spot. 2 to 3 times per week is the frequency that maximizes hypertrophy, strength adaptation, and hormonal response, while allowing adequate recovery for the connective tissues to remodel and strengthen. Once a week is not enough to drive consistent neurological and hormonal adaptation. Every single day doesn't allow sufficient recovery for tendons and bone remodeling to keep up with muscle adaptation. 2 to 3 sessions per week, each with 3 to 5 sets in the 5 to 10 rep range, with progressive overload, meaning you're consistently adding weight or reps over time, is the protocol the evidence supports for maximum physiological transformation. That's roughly 90 minutes of squatting per week. In exchange for stronger bones, a faster metabolism, better hormones, a more resilient nervous system, and a brain that ages slower. That is an extraordinary return on investment. The squat is the most powerful single movement available to the human body. The science is not subtle about this. 2 to 3 times a week, progressive overload, and consistent effort. The physiology takes care of the rest. If this changed how you think about squatting, subscribe, because this is what we do here. Real science, real results. See you in the next one.